My name is Tishan, and today I want to share with you a story about how I came across something that I think is just fascinating. That is Arduinos, SBCs, electronics, and their maker revolution, and talk to you about how I think I might be able to take that and merge it with my current career, which is video production and web design, and maybe give myself a little boost so that I could stay motivated about what I do and, in the end, hopefully inspire you.
Rock the beat.
VideotronicMaker. 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 VideotronicMaker.
I've been working in the media profession since 1991. That's when I got my first paid job. From there, I just began learning things and then I got a job at a television station and I learned how to shoot. I learned how to operate a camera, an ENG camera. I learned how to shoot news. Then I learned how to edit. Doors opened and I became a staff editor and eventually a post-production manager. After learning editing, I began producing a lot more, writing a lot more, directing. Eventually I learned graphic design. The first program I learned was Adobe Illustrator. Well, actually, the first program I learned was Scala. That's pretty old. I then got exposed to After Effects and then eventually web design. Later, I got exposed to 3D modeling and 3D programs built for video production. The point of what I'm saying is I was always learning and growing. And now it's been over 25 years since I've been doing this, and like anyone else in any career field, you hit a point in your career where you kind of get tired of doing the same thing all the time. And that's why I kept learning new things, because I would get tired of doing that one thing and I would learn something else, and it kept me engaged and just really excited about it all. So recently, I started to feel like it really hit me. I just really felt like, man, I am tired of doing the same thing every day. All of it. The 3D modeling, the web design, the SEO, the shooting video, lighting. I just got tired of it. I wanted a change. Well, about a year ago, I was on a video shoot and there was an accident and my headphones broke. The audio jack snapped and I didn't know how to solder. Now, all throughout my career, I worked with engineers, who fixed video equipment and soldered XLR cables and BNC cables and whatever needed to be fixed and open decks, but I never learned how to do that. I always stayed away from that part of media production and television production. So these headphones just sat in a drawer for a year. Recently, I had a personal situation that gave me a lot of spare time. And I really wanted to fill that spare time with something constructive. And I thought about fixing those headphones, which meant I had to learn how to solder. So I got on YouTube. I started watching videos about how to solder. And after watching enough videos, I decided it was time to go ahead and buy a soldering iron. So I went and I bought my first soldering iron. I bought this for about $4 at Harbor Freight. I bought some solder for $4. I also bought some practice soldering kits where you could work with a PCB and put on LEDs, solder LEDs to it, and buttons and things like that. Eventually, I built up the courage to cut the wire on the headphones and actually make the repair. I bought some headphone jacks on Amazon and I gave it a shot. I made a mess of it and I ruined the soldering iron because I hadn't yet fully grasped what they were saying about how to maintain your soldering iron. So I ended up having to buy a second soldering iron. I ruined this one also. Came to find out that, well, it was hard to replace the tips on this. So it was time to upgrade. I then bought a soldering iron that was a little better, a Weller soldering iron, and it worked out well. Ooh. That was not cool. I then realized later that I needed a soldering station because I was just having a little bit of trouble with raising the temperature, and I bought some helping hands also, and it was a little unstable and it would wobble, and I ended up caving in and I bought a little bit better soldering iron and soldering station. I wasn't really ready to make a full commitment to the $125 soldering station. I still didn't know if I was going to keep doing this. So anyway, I eventually got to the point where I was starting to learn how to solder, at a basic level, and I was enjoying it. So I went back to work and I started talking to co-workers of mine, one of which who is a designer and engineer. And he told me about Arduino. He said, you should check out Arduino and you should even check out Raspberry Pis. Now, I never heard of these things before. This was all new information for me, but it sounded interesting, so I looked it up. I went online and I researched Arduino, and I started to become very interested in what I was seeing. I then researched Raspberry Pi, and that was even more fascinating. And eventually I made a purchase, and I bought not the Raspberry Pi, but I bought the Asus Tinkerboard S, which is this thing right here. This thing is beautiful. I mean, the craftsmanship of this is just fantastic. I just like to look at it sometimes. But this is a computer. You can actually do word processing. You can do graphic design with this. You can pretty much do almost anything with this. This is pretty much as powerful as a laptop that you bought in 2009. You can do the same things. And in 2009, people were doing a lot. So this was fascinating. I upgraded this myself. It came just as a board. This is a single board computer, by the way. One board, everything on one board. It's one motherboard, basically, with no other boards. No memory card, no video cards where you plug into, everything is on one board, soldered into one board. And after a little while, I just decided that, okay, it's time to now start getting into Arduino. So I started looking up Arduino and I discovered the Maker Revolution. Now, this is a pretty fascinating thing. So I went ahead and purchased an Arduino Starter Kit. Now, this is actually not an Arduino Starter Kit. This is an Elegoo Starter Kit. And it contains an Arduino Uno, an Elegoo or Elegoo Uno, and which is pretty much the same thing as an Arduino. and it has sensors and motors and came with a breadboard. Actually, this breadboard right here. And this is for prototyping. Before you make your final build, this is where you test it out. It came with a power supply shield. I then bought an Arduino Mega from Elegoo. Then I bought an Arduino Nano. I think I bought it from Hi Let Go, that company. Then I bought this base, which holds a Raspberry Pi and an Arduino Mega and Uno from Sunfounder. And I just started, doing the projects that come with the kit. And I actually found that the Elegoo project files and libraries, the Arduino project files, are pretty solid. And what I mean is the libraries that are referenced and that come with the kit, they work, from the first project to the last project. We're talking at least 30 projects. They all work. And I'll explain that in a minute. I then went ahead and bought another kit from Keyestudio. And this was very attractive to me because they paid attention. They put more emphasis and put more attention into marketing and design. And that attracted me. I like that. However, I did find that some of the, I'm a newbie, so it was probably a user error on my part. But I got stuck on some of the projects and couldn't get some of the libraries to load correctly, and I tried over and over again. But it came with an LED screen, and this is pretty much standard what comes in comparable starter kits from these companies who have made their own versions of Arduino. So far though, I'm just still very excited and very happy about what my decision to purchase this. It then led to purchasing shields from Keyestudio. This is a sensor shield. Then I bought a prototyping shield. Like I said, I bought a Nano, and I found out about this shield from DF Robot, where you can mount your Nano here, and you place your Nano right here, and now you have access to more pins and more options. And I just started becoming fascinated. Now at this point, I knew that I stumbled upon something amazing, but I didn't know what I was going to do with it all. I wasn't going to change careers and become a maker, full time, because it's just not going to happen at my age. But I started to think about how I could combine this with video. And what was happening was I was on YouTube, and I was on these YouTubers' websites, and I started watching their videos, and I said, maybe I can kind of do what they're doing. But the problem was, it's going to take years for me to get to the point where I can teach people, because I'm a beginner with this. I'm not going to make tutorials online and act like, I'm this seasoned, maker. I am not a seasoned maker. I just discovered this 2 months ago. So how can I merge these two things together? I don't want to start contacting these people and say, hey, let me shoot your stuff for you. I don't want to do all that. Here's what I want to do. As I am exploring electronics and learning about Raspberry Pis and, these Arduino Shields and kits that I'm purchasing, and trying out these, other products, I want to share with you my experience as I'm experiencing it. Not to try and teach you anything, but to inspire you and allow you maybe to learn with me, not by me. For example, after watching YouTube videos, I found a pretty popular project that a lot of people were doing. And the project was how to convert an ATX power supply from an old computer, right? Take it out and convert it into a workbench power supply. So I was actually watching mostly DroneBot Workshop. I've been watching this guy for the last 2 months. I really like his channel, and I really appreciate everything that he's been doing. And this is actually me following his instructions. And by following his instructions, I was able to purchase the components, come up with a plan. I basically followed his design, which was a piece of wood. This is kind of based on his design, which was a thinner piece of wood in the front, and putting a screen. And I built this, and I wired everything inside, and I used an acrylic, a piece of acrylic, so that I could see inside of it. I put an LED in there to light it up when it's dark. And I came up with my own prototype. And guess what? It works. It works, except for the USB part. I couldn't figure out how to get the USB portion to work. I plugged something in and I fried it. I fried my device. But all these other ones work. But this is my first project, my first prototype. And it was because I was watching channels like DroneBot Workshop and Electro Noobs. And there's one more guy. I don't remember his channel name. But these guys not only inspired me, but they taught me how to do this. And this is like fascinating. I'm fascinated now, learning about electricity and all this. And so if I can get excited about this, I'm hoping that I can get you excited about this, so that, maybe it could lead to something good for you, even just a hobby. So that's what this channel is about. And that's what I'm here to do. So I hope you join me again on the next video.